Nakaba's trolled us again, with yet another false ending and character death fake-out. The first time I felt something didn't feel quite right was when Kath was frozen in time and Merlin said it would last a couple dozen years or even centuries. I knew they couldn't have won that easily, but I thought that maybe he could have had a counter to time freeze or another outside source would come into play, like maybe the Supreme Deity, who's still nowhere to be found. But no, everything was fine, and next thing we know, Meliodas and Elizabeth are getting married. This was the next part that felt weird to me, and where I started to believe that this may be an illusion or something. Though I found it especially weird how none of the Sins actually showed up to their wedding. The excuses Meliodas gave for them seemed extremely poor. Bond supposedly couldn't show up because Elaine was pregnant and he didn't want to leave her side. But last time I checked, pregnant people can still move, and unless she's right in the middle of childbirth, I don't see why they both couldn't have come. Though I guess when you think about it, Elaine has the body of a small child, so her pregnant stomach is probably half her body mass. So maybe she really can't move around.
No, dude, put your shirt back on. Jesus, look at everyone's fucking staring at you. What the fuck? Jesus fucking.
King and Deanna were in the fairy realm, but I don't really see how that could stop them from showing up. They can both live a long time, so you would think they would show up for this special moment in Elizabeth's life, who won't live nearly as long as they do. Gother and Hawk have the worst reason, as Meliodas' excuse for them was that they were living their life. What the hell does Hawk have to do that's more important than showing up to their wedding? Eating slop? Gother's an antisocial weirdo, so I can't really say I'm surprised. But with all the character development he's received over the series, and considering how he was in love with Elizabeth's adoptive father's sister, you would think he would show up. Merlin and Arthur had the best excuse, as they were rebuilding his destroyed kingdom. But that goes flying out the window right when you remember Merlin has the ability to teleport. So from this chapter we have learned that the 7 deadly sins are all terrible friends. In the next scene we get hit with the news that Bond has just died.
Whoa, what?
I wasn't sure exactly what was going on or why he died, but that was made much more clear right when it was revealed Elizabeth was an old woman on her deathbed talking to Meliodas, meaning Bond must have died from old age. Meliodas is of course still young since he's a demon, which begs the question, was he banging old lady Elizabeth? Right when Elizabeth was saying her last goodbyes, as this time she won't get another do-over, Kath finally pops back up again, licking people's heads off. I guess it's true that cats have rough tongues.
Yeah, buddy.
Meliodas then takes Kath on, one-on-one. And I would like to mention I like his design here with his cape with a black scruff around his neck. I'm pretty sure that's the same type of cape Elizabeth's dad had, which would mean Meliodas is probably the current king of Britannia. Kath taunts Meliodas about how he's alone, and if he had just let him win all those years ago, he wouldn't have had to go through this terrible suffering. Everything goes away eventually, so what's the point in stopping the inevitable? Kath also uses this argument earlier in the chapter, trying to convince Arthur he should just let himself be eaten, since he's just gonna die at one point or another in the future anyways. Meliodas rejects this logic and tells Kath that his bonds will never go away. With this, Meliodas snapped back into reality and realized that it didn't actually happen. Though, according to Arthur, it wasn't just an illusion, but a possible future. It seems like all of the other sins are still under Kath's spell, which makes me wonder what they're seeing. Unfortunately for me, we probably won't get to see. And unfortunately for you, this is the future where this video ends now.